Hey there, I'm No Prob Rob. Today I'm counting down my top 5, specifically my top 5 games from 2018. Some ground rules. My top 5 list, this is specifically for me. So it's not based on like critic reviews, it's not based on player reviews. It's just what I personally enjoyed most from 2018. Uh, and what a year it was. What a year. Uh, I remember there was a week in November, literally 4 games came out on 4 different days. And yeah, keeping up with it all was not easy, and quite frankly, I'm not caught up on it all. But, so you should know things that I look for in a game uh, as far as rating a top 5 list like this would be, first of all, whether it surprised me, if there was something that I didn't know was coming, or just simply how good the game actually was surprising. That's a lot of points for me. Another thing that I tend to look for is how often do I come back to it. If I play it for a little bit and then kind of drop it, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad game or that I didn't like it, but things that keep me coming back for more tend to get more from me. So some honorable mentions before I move on. First of all, shout out to Dead Cells. I absolutely adore Dead Cells. It's an indie title. It describes itself as Roguevania. If you've played a Metroid game or a Castlevania game, you know what Metroidvania style is. Basically, it's a 2D action platformer with some exploration elements and a lot of backtracking, as certain areas are not available until you find the proper item or ability to access it. Dead Cells calls itself Roguevania because it's that kind of concept, but also with roguelike elements. So you get one try, and each time you go through, the layout of the levels are randomized. And a roguelike specifically is interesting. If you play The Binding of Isaac, that is the most recent poster boy for what a roguelike is. And the point of a roguelike essentially is that yes, you get one try to get through, but no death is wasted, because you'll find items and abilities that can be useful later time on later tries that you get through. Sorry, I got like stuff in my throat. So some of those items that you collected carry over to the next playthrough. And Dead Cells has both, and it's awesome, and I love it. If you can find a copy, try it, or just download it. Downloading's going to be easier to find than a physical copy. Another honorable mention, Celeste. Honestly, I haven't beaten either of these yet. I'm horrible at beating games, I really am. But Celeste is fascinating. I've heard excellent things about the story. Like I said, I haven't finished it yet, so I don't really want to comment too much on that. But what I do know and what I have seen of the story has been excellent. It is a platformer. It's a platformer in the vein of something like a Super Meat Boy. It's tough. It's really tough. It doesn't punish you a ton for dying. Basically, you just start back at the checkpoint, but there's a lot of deaths. And it's interesting, thematically actually, it talks about each death is a learning experience. And that kind of ties into the themes and story in the game. So I don't want to ruin too much, but if you haven't tried Celeste yet, try it. It's awesome. I also want to shout out to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Didn't quite make the top 5. I love them to death. Played every Pokemon. I like that Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is kind of a redo of Yellow version, but it's not a carbon copy by any means. The layouts of the areas are generally the same, but they threw in capturing mechanics, more like Pokemon Go, which honestly turned out pretty well. Keeps it feeling a little bit different from other titles, if a lot easier, which doesn't really bother me that much, honestly. And it's also got enough new surprises, like if you've played yellow version in the past, when you go through and play Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, there's enough little pieces that don't necessarily add a ton, but it's kind of cool, like, oh, this didn't happen before. So, plus Eevee, your partner Eevee, is possibly the most broken Pokemon in the franchise. Anyway, definitely loved it. Not quite a top 5 for me. Another shout out, and please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. Fortnite. Now, first of all, Fortnite did not come out in 2018. It came out in 2017, but it didn't really pick up until 2018, so I'm giving it kind of a pass that way. Also, it's only an honorable mention because I did enjoy it. I did find myself going back to it a little bit, but it's not my style of game. It's not to say that I wouldn't keep playing or that I wouldn't like hop on again now and again, but I am not in love with Fortnite by any means. It's fun. I'm very impressed with what it's managed to do for our current pop culture, but it's not my top 5. I'm sorry. Number 5, and try not to faint if you know me. Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Now this, again, if you remember my criteria, a surprise gets a lot of points for me. I've not really been into the Call of Duty series. I am the sort of gamer that tends to look for things that aren't quite as popular, honestly. So I kind of was, frankly, I was hating the popular kid for being popular. So I never really gave the Call of Duty series a fair chance. I did try last year's World War II and fairly enjoyed it, especially the zombies mode. I did enjoy. Didn't really play through it or anything. And I'm not really into online multiplayer games either, which is why Fortnite is just an honorable mention. But Black Ops 4 was so much fun. I had the main experience in particular that I had was playing zombies mode with a buddy of mine, and I am horrible at shooters, horrible, especially console shooters. So I was basically worthless pretty much the whole time we were playing zombies. I remember we got to about round 20, I think. It was about round 20. I was playing with 2 other guys at the time. So both me and the other guy were down, and I watched my friend literally just run around with like 100 zombies following him and win the round by himself. And I've never seen anything so cool in my life. But the frantic energy of it, and just kind of whole time just going, what the hell's going on? So much fun. Thoroughly impressed. I did also try the blackout mode, and honestly, I was only able to try it once because I wasn't able to hold on to the game, unfortunately. But the one time I tried the blackout mode, second place. Or maybe it was the second time I tried it, but I got second place. And what it turned out was I wasn't even like trying to hide necessarily. I kind of ended up inadvertently hiding. Like the whole time, I like barely saw anyone. The couple of times I did see someone, I did try to fire off shots, and apparently I landed at least one, but nobody would engage me. So it got to the point where like it's just me and one other guy, circles closing in. He found me first. It's this close. But yeah, Black Ops 4, shockingly, so much fun. So much fun. It was a lot of, it was great, and unfortunately I don't have very stable internet at the moment, so don't currently have it anymore, but I'd be up for picking it back up once something opens up. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Number 4 is Spider-Man. Now, I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero. I like to think that I'm a lot like Peter Parker. We both try to do the right thing and usually end up causing a lot of problems for ourselves. Peter, buddy. But Okay, so Spider-Man for PS4 this year was excellent. Definitely best Spider-Man game of all time. The combat felt great. The web swinging was great. One of the most realistic depictions of New York City in a video game I've seen. Fantastic. Loved it. Sadly, wasn't able to try the DLC, but loved it. My one caveat, and the reason it's not higher on the list, it's kind of short, especially for an open world game. I think I beat it in about 30 hours, and that was 100%, at least by game standards. I didn't beat all of the challenges, like 3-star or whatever, but they were not asking for a reasonable performance on those anyway. Technically, I haven't platinumed either, but the only thing I didn't get was all of the suits, I think. Yeah. Regardless, I didn't platinum the game, but I could easily play through one more time and platinum, and quite frankly, as much fun as it is, I don't feel a strong desire to play through all the same stuff again. It was a little small, comparatively speaking. That said, fantastic, and if you haven't played it yet, you need to play it because it's so good. So good. But yeah, just as much fun as I had with it, it hasn't been able to pull me back in. Now, again, I haven't tried the DLC yet, so if I can get the DLC, that'll definitely pull me back in for at least a little while. But yeah, I mean, the collectibles were all pretty easy to get. Honestly, it was kind of old school as far as open world design goes. With the tower system and everything being marked, and you just kind of go through and just kind of tick off the boxes. Yes, I got all the backpacks. Yep, I did all the research stations. Again, tons of fun, and I loved it. I don't feel the need to go back to it. Not soon, anyway. Probably someday, but not anytime soon. So, I love you, Spider-Man, but give me some more content next time. Pretty please? Please? Number 3 is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, it was a little tough to put this above Spider-Man, because I love Spider-Man. And honestly, I've never been a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed series. I made it through the first one, second one, and actually I didn't even finish Brotherhood. And I've kind of dabbled in a bunch of games from the rest of the series. I did get through Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, actually. I had a Vita at the time, and well, that was one of the really good games from the Vita. I mean, buggy, as all Assassin's Creeds are, but it was still a full-fledged Assassin's Creed title on a handheld system. Very impressive. That said, I have played Origins a pretty good amount, and I like it pretty well. It's enormous, of course. I like the RPG system that they've kind of put into it. It does kind of feel like they have maybe some sort of plan for the present day timeline. But I still haven't really gotten into Origins. And I don't know if it's just like the choice-based system that they threw into Odyssey. It makes it feel like Mass Effect a little bit. But it was awesome. It was so much fun. Actually, honestly, for me, it's probably the naval combat. Because, again, I only kind of dabbled in most of the rest of the series. I haven't really played Assassin's Creed 4 much, so Odyssey was my first introduction to that, and it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Still not a huge fan of excuse me, sorry. Still not a huge fan of the combat, but It's not because the combat is like bad or anything. It's just I don't like the button mapping primarily is what I don't like. And I kind of I'm trying to remember. Is there a guard button on Odyssey? Is there a guard? Anyone? It's been a while, unfortunately. But regardless, it was a ton of fun. I love the choice-based system, the RPG elements. Obviously, it's massive, which doesn't necessarily win points for me because I have a life. I don't have time for this, but still, really, really cool. And definitely more, definitely gonna pull me back in easier than Spider-Man, so that's why I rated it higher than that. Number 2 is where things really start to get tough. My number 2 game for 2018 is Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, I'm well aware that it was a contender for Game of the Year, and I'm well aware that it's been just all over the place, and it is really, really good. It was surprising to me because, first of all, I'm not really a fan of Rockstar games necessarily. I haven't played really any Grand Theft Auto games. Just hasn't interested me. And open world games in particular, like just the whole style, I don't tend to get into. All that said, Red Dead Redemption 2 surprised me in so many ways. Now, I did try the first Red Dead Redemption before I picked up number 2. Did not finish, unfortunately, but I mean, first thing when I booted up Red Dead Redemption 2, and I don't even have like PS4 Pro or Xbox One X, so I don't know 4K, and I was just blown away by the graphics in this game. Unbelievable. And actually, the first thing that happened when I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 is I just opened the case and let my mouth hang for a while at the fact that there's 2 Blu-ray discs for this game. That is crazy. Crazy. So as far as gameplay goes, it's definitely a slower pace than I'm used to for a lot of open world games. I really kind of dug it, honestly. I liked the fact that I didn't feel like I was running everywhere the whole time. It was nice to kind of feel like, you know what, I can take my time. I can just kind of casually ride my horse through the countryside until I get to the next shootout. It did an impressive job of combining all these really complicated mechanics in a way that was fairly easy to understand, and not necessarily hard to keep up with. It borders on being a simulator in some ways in terms of like taking care of your horse and keeping your health up, keeping your stamina up, your deadeye, all of that. Is fairly complicated, but it's put together well enough that it's never overbearing. One minor complaint, I wasn't a huge fan of the inventory system, only because I would spend, half the time, like, I'm in battle, pull up the inventory, oh crap, where was this item, where's, move to, there it is, okay. So, it was, not very user-friendly, as far as trying to survive a shootout. But yeah, I really enjoyed what I saw of the story. That said, again, haven't finished. But I did keep going for a good 30-40 hours straight, which is a drop in the bucket for Red Dead Redemption 2. But the fact that it kept me coming back for that long is astonishing for that style of game. Totally took me by surprise, and definitely worth being number 2. But it's still only number 2. So what about number 1? Well, number 1 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, here's... Okay. I'm already getting, like, super excited just talking about this. So, here's kind of a glimpse into what kind of gamer I am, because I will state it all day, every day, that I love video games. It doesn't necessarily matter what kind of game it is. I mean, I look for good quality, of course, as anyone would. But if it's a good game, chances are I'll enjoy it, at least a little bit. Whew. Excuse me, sorry. Whew. I mean, I don't tend to favor... You know, I'm not all that good at games, so hard games is kind of tough for me. I'm really, really awful at strategy. Just awful. Your typical fighting game like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, terrible at those. But I still enjoy kind of, you know, trying them out from time to time. So, the reason that I love the Super Smash Bros. Series and why Ultimate is my number 1 game of the year is because, to me, the Super Smash Bros. Series is like a video game museum in exactly the form that it should be inside a video game. I love seeing all the different characters and, you know, being like, you know, just as an example, you know, like, oh, Inkling's in this time. I loved Splatoon. Sweet. This should be a cool. This should be a nice addition to the fighting roster, which it was. I liked Inkling a lot, but you know, it's that element of familiarity. Like, oh yeah, I've played these games. I know these games, and I know what to expect from these characters in this game. Then the flip side of that too, in the case of Ultimate, is with the spirits. I'm always fascinated to learn about things that I haven't heard of, and there's quite a lot in Ultimate. They threw in spirits from a bunch of Japanese-only titles, and so it's been a fascinating thing for me to be like, I have never heard of this. Let me just look this up. And then, you know, I learn about something new. I'm like, huh, I kind of want to try it. So, to me, Super Smash Bros. Is a celebration of everything that video games are and everything that they do, while at the same time being enormously fun to play as a video game. It's the perfect game for me. Now, I understand why lots of people would probably disagree with this assessment. As much fun as Super Smash Bros. Is, and as much as lots of people are playing it, I am not going to be mad at people who, you know, say, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2 is Game of the Year, no, God of War is the Game of the Year. But for me, there is no better depiction of what video games should be. You know, just fun. You know, the story doesn't have to be blockbuster. It can be a nice, simple story, as long as the gameplay is fun. It brings people together for, you know, local multiplayer. This one has 8 players, just like the Wii U and the 3DS versions. Or, I'm sorry, the 3DS version did not have 8 players. The Wii U version had 8 players. You know, it's got the online gameplay, which Nintendo's still working out some kinks with that. Hopefully the Switch Online service will get those servers in better shape. And yeah, now we've got Castlevania thrown in there, we've got Splatoon, and we've got fighters from all sorts of third parties, and Joker from Persona 5 is going to be the first DLC fighter. I'm so crazy excited. Persona was great in 2017. So yeah, and also as far as the criteria I was mentioning, I can't stop playing Smash. I just can't. just about there was like maybe a week where I was like playing something else, but once I jumped back on Smash Brothers, I was just back in. I finally finished the adventure mode. I'm still collecting a bunch of spirits. I'm over like 800 now. There's still like 500 to go after that. And I mean, I haven't even hardly been able to play with anybody else, but I can't stop playing Smash Bros. Love it to death, and easily my #1 for 2018. So, come back to the channel. Give me a like down below, and hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment. What your top 5 for 2018 are. Like I said, you know, I'm not going to be upset if somebody disagrees with me. This is my list, but I want to hear what your list is. What your top 5 for 2018 would be. I'm guessing Red Dead Redemption 2 is way the heck up there. God of War is probably way the heck up there. Unfortunately, I didn't get to spend much time on God of War. I still wanna spend some time on that. So maybe I'll redo this list at some point. Regardless, yeah, leave a comment with your list, and I'll definitely be looking forward to checking it out. And come back to the channel soon. We'll have some more content. I'll have some more content for you coming up. Until next time, I'm No Prob Rob. Thanks for watching.